I'm Joyce Anali, Chief Operating Officer at Sonoma Hills Farm. I've been involved in the cannabis space for several decades, growing in my home, and then had an outdoor collective, Emerald Cup winning collective in the Sierra region. And now we're growing some of the best craft cannabis out here in Sonoma County.
My name's Aaron Kiefer. I'm the head cultivator out here. I have a varied background in cannabis. I started out when I was 15. I grew my first plant. A friend's father brought back seeds from Amsterdam. I grew skunk number 1. It was unlike anything that I'd ever tried before. Fell in love with the plant, and through that kind of fell in love with all plants. Past 10 years I've been growing vegetables for Michelin-starred chefs, as well as growing cannabis for all of the Prop 215 dispensaries down in the city. Top shelf product all the way indoors, and now we can finally get out of the shadows and grow outdoors. So we're growing in the ground organically with tons of life in the soil, and we're trying to grow some of the best product that we can possibly have here out of this beautiful ground in Sonoma.
Many of us on the team have had many years of experience in the space, and so many of us were drawn to the space and to the plant through personal interests and also medical reasons. Myself, I lost a family member to cancer, and that was the moment when I decided there's no other path for me than to work with this plant. Unfortunately, this plant has had a huge bias and stigma associated with it because the United States chose to outlaw it in the 30s based on really racist propaganda. This plant has so much potential to change agriculture, to change technology, to change banking, to change wellness. There's so many positive reasons why folks should be excited about the plant being legalized. So we are here in Sonoma County at Sonoma Hills Farm. We were one of the first to receive a larger conditional use permit here in wine country. Sonoma is actually one of the first counties in wine country, well, the first county in wine country to allow for cannabis cultivation. We had a very, very rigorous permitting process that we went through. It took nearly 3 years to get where we are today. And California continues to have a lot of turmoil. Obviously we're speaking to you right now amongst, many fires and the COVID, year that we've seen. It's just been such a difficult year. But this plant, allows us to put one foot in front of the other and keep going because the plant deserves to be shined a light on.
Sonoma Hills Farm is located about 9 miles from the ocean and 1 hour from San Francisco in West Sonoma County. We have chosen this location due to its temperate weather. We don't really get that hot, we don't really get that cold. The land is beautiful, a lot of sandy loam, and it's been rotationally grazed for the past 30 years in an organic manner, and everything around us is mostly rotational grazing as well. We don't have other farms spraying anything that's going to pesticide drift into our product. We have about 40 acres here on Sonoma Hills Farm, about 28,560 square feet of cannabis, and 3 or 4 acres of vegetables. The rest of it is all of our animals. We have hair sheep, we have Highland cattle, we have Wagyu crosses, we have pigs, we have chickens, and lots of dogs. We're definitely looking forward to turning this land into a very productive piece of property.
And that really the mission that we have here at Sonoma Hills Farm is for cannabis to exist amongst other traditional agriculture, and obviously Sonoma County is extremely rich in our agriculture history. So we've sort of woven cannabis and hemp amongst so many other vegetables and sustainable produce that people are able to, love and participate and consume. And our belief is really that, cannabis has been missing from the diets of so many Americans for so many years. Yes, it's something you can smoke, but it's also something that you can ingest and you can take in, various nutrients, just as so much of our food system is sustained by, supplements that come from vegetables and meats that we're eating. All of us have an endocannabinoid system, and cannabis is really missing from the diet and has been for so long. So we believe that you could reintroduce cannabis into people's diets, and we'll all be better for it as a society.
Our vision for the farm is to grow the best quality produce and the best quality cannabis in a natural way, building life in the soil, building the land up, and trying to bring that goodness to you.
Something like 50% of Americans consume cannabis. And prior to legalization in California, our state has been the origin of so many different amazing craft growers. When we legalized in 2016 and then into 2018, the system opened up. A lot of those growers have unfortunately somewhat gotten left in the shadows. We think that craft farming and that, bringing differentiation and innovation and how those farming practices are moving forward in varied climates. California has such a rich baseline, both of innovators in craft cannabis, also in, tremendous terroir. So this space is wide open for the craft grower to start to take his or her position in the marketplace.
Appellations are incredibly important. This is how we differentiate products and where they come from. Champagne is only from Champagne, France. Sparkling wine can be great, but it's not champagne. Espelette peppers are wonderful. It's from a little valley in France right next to Spain. Right next door in the other valley grows the same peppers. They taste the same. I've had them, but they're half the price because they aren't Espelette peppers. We have the same thing with cannabis. Right now we have strain-specific cannabises on the menu, and everybody's out there trying to chase a strain or chase the hype behind it. But at the end of the day, how it's grown is just as important as the genetics. There's 3 parts to getting the final flavor of a cannabis, and it starts with genetics, and then you have life in the soil and how you grew it, and then it's how it's cured. Appellations are very important because the actual growth and the life of the plant happens in the appellation that it will be designated in. So you will be able to start to try to say, I like this cannabis from this area. I like this cannabis from this area. As we evolve, we will have appellations just like wines.
Another reason why it's so important is because of education and drawing the consumer back to the plant. We all love to go visit wineries and understand how the sommelier and how the team sort of came to the bottle that we're drinking. That is going to be so exciting in cannabis, where the cultivator is able to interact directly with their consumer and educate them not only about their specific genetics, but forward the plant in general. And unfortunately, right now, we're very restricted in how the farm can have direct touch points to those consumers. And so what that does is it's opened up a big area for corporate cannabis to really start to make its imprint. Now, this is a very, very large opportunity in terms of how many people love cannabis. So there's a seat at the table for everybody. But with the AVA and appellations program, hopefully the smaller farmers, the medium farmers, those that are doing something culturally or farming practices that are super differentiated to their region will continue to have a voice as this industry evolves.
Appellations will give us a chance to differentiate ourselves from corporate cannabis that grows mass amounts of cannabis for a cheap price using cheap inputs and not really craft oriented, not really taking that care that some of the smaller farms will. There's a place in the market for every single variety of cannabis and every type of growing, but what we're trying to do is elevate it to the next level, just like restaurants do, just like wineries do. So let's talk about the way that we grow our cannabis. We are organic. We're working on our CCOF certification for the farm. We are also working on our organic certification for cannabis once that comes online, hopefully the first of next year. We've already approached this completely organic. We're looking to create the product that you want to ingest into your body. All organic, life in the soil, lots and lots of teeming microbes to kind of create those beneficial nutrients that you need to get the full rounded effect of the cannabis. That combined with the natural sun, which is a much bigger light spectrum than you're ever going to get inside, creates what I think to be superior cannabis. Outdoor cannabis has always had kind of a knock against it versus indoor cannabis because it wasn't able to be kind of held in the same environment as indoor cannabis. I think the biggest hole in the lineup would be the curing of that cannabis. You can have a great season, you can grow great cannabis, and you can turn gold into straw overnight during the curing process. Back in the past, you were hanging it under a redwood tree, or hanging it in a carport, or in a uncooled barn. Now we are taking outdoor cannabis at its peak in the morning before the sun has hit it, taking it straight into a controlled environment, hanging it, drying it, hand trimming it, just like an indoor cannabis. I think that you're going to get a little more efficacy out of an outdoor cannabis versus indoor cannabis. That's just my personal opinion, and this is also something that I've kind of grown into because I was an indoor cannabis grower for years, and I absolutely believe that indoor was better than outdoor. Now, I'm kind of going the other way, and both the energy use, the impact on our environment, and I'm starting to really enjoy outdoor cannabis because we're actually curating it and treating it well after the harvest.
Yeah, we've been able to observe so many amazing cultivators, and I think some of the things that we've seen recently, we were able to visit the Eel River region where we visited several dry farms, and we actually have the potential to dry farm here because there was once a reservoir on our land, and so there's still a lot of water sort of underneath the surface. As the plant and its roots are going to seek that water, the terpene profile that is sort of concentrated in those varietals is just so profound. So with outdoor farming as opposed to indoor, because you have Mother Earth literally sort of feeding the battery of those plants, you're just going to see profiles that we probably have never even seen or derived. And to speak to the sustainability and the environmental side of it, I think all of us are reeling right now here in California. We're just devastated by the fires and what we're sort of seeing in our surrounding environment, all of the wildlife and just the natural sustenance that we need to be getting from our Mother Earth will be better achieved through sustainable and environmental practices. And at the end of the day, you're just not going to have that same lever in a warehouse.
So cannabis is the genetics, and it is how it's grown, and it is how it's cured. But at the end of the day, what we're putting into our body, because we are ingesting this into our body, is the life of that plant. And how did that plant live? Did it live outdoors, in organic soil, with the ocean air and the beautiful environment that you find here on Sonoma Hills Farm? Or did it live inside, in a warehouse, beside a freeway, under lights with chemical fertilizers? I know that it's not cut and dried, it's not either or, but what we're trying to grow is product that we want to ingest ourselves, and we're hoping to create, great product for everybody else to put into their bodies too.
A lot of people say that cannabis is a gateway, and I believe that to be true. I think it's a gateway to living a better life and to ingesting better food and better nutrients and better everything. So if cannabis is a gateway, let's hope that it leads us all to a more healthy lifestyle.